Blog Talk Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Chrism, and I would like to welcome you to another conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. And it's a beautiful day here on the West Coast, United States, PST, Pacific Standard Time Zone. Looks like we're having about, 90, 98 degree weather, things of that nature. It's somewhat hot, and I understand that there's a heat wave in Europe going through France as well. And so, I wish everybody some cool breezes for those who are having heat waves. And I understand on the East Coast, United States, we're having a lot of wind and a lot of tornado-like activity, certainly within the area of Pennsylvania and other places. So I would like to wish for them a calm and peaceful day and evening. Before I get too far into this show, I would like to welcome the Celtic Queen of Questionable Comforts, Her Holiness, Santara Kundalini. Hello, Santara.
Hello, Chrism. Hi, everybody. Good to be here. I can see everybody in the chat room. Can you see everybody there, Chrism?
I see Vincent, Phil, Knowing Star Woman, Heli Hinonen, Fashji, and then a couple of hosts there. I see Vincent 91. But yeah, so I do see people in the chat room, my dear.
Good.
And I see Fashji, and I'm going to ask you, Fashji or Phil, if you can hear the sound okay. We always have to do these little sound checks for Blog Talk Radio. So if you guys could actually start typing, that would give me an idea that you're actually hearing me, and what a blessing that would be. In the meantime, Santara, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, Chrism, well, welcome everybody, and I'm going to give you the address that you can look up if you would like to give a donation to help the work that is done on Kundalini Awakening Systems. The address you can go to is www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And the donate button is on the right-hand side, and when you click it, it's quite easy to follow the instructions. That donate button is the only donate button that we have at the moment. So please go to that address if you wish to make a donation. There are other ways to make a donation. You can do so by doing it through the bank. And if you're interested in that or would prefer to do that, you can contact me at kundalinimatters@gmail.com or even on my Facebook messages, and I can give you the information you need to do that. But the easiest way to do it is on www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And today I received a message from somebody who said they were trying to make a donation on the Yahoo group, and just to let people know, the button there doesn't actually work. So that's it, and again, I would say to those of you who are listening to this, you don't have to feel under pressure to make a donation. It's not a requirement. This program and all the places that Chrism gives of the information about Kundalini is given freely. But yet, people, want to make a donation, and donations are needed and are required because, of course, money is needed in order to live in the world. So if you want to make a donation, please do it at www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, and all donations are gratefully received. So thank you, everybody. And I can see, Chrism, people are being bumped on and off in the chat room as usual.
It's horrible. I just want to thank everybody in the chat room for being there. I had a hard time getting on today myself. I mean, I was down to less than 13 minutes when I was able to get on here at all. And so, yeah, I don't know what to tell you about what's going on with the internet at the moment. But I do want to welcome everybody, and I appreciate your perseverance. Those of you in the chat room: Atlanta Seeker, Fashji, Helly, Knowing Star Woman, Phil Karuba, and Vincent91. Well, Phil, I feel the same way about you, my friend, and thank you for being here. And thank you, Mary Jean, even though I see you got logged out because I'm sure against your will. Knowing Star Woman, hello, Helly, Fashji, Atlanta Seeker, hello. Hello, everybody. And I'd also like to say hello to Rosemary Goliath in the great state of Minnesota, United States, and Eileeny Beanie in the great state of Florida, United States, and Her Holiness Joey from the great state of Minnesota. So hello, everybody who are listening on the telephone. And here is Mary Jean, just back from being logged out. Hello, Mary Jean. Nice to see you here today. What I've been given to say today is about amplification, Kundalini and amplification of issues. This is gonna be huge. The amplification of issues is a very, very, very big deal, and it's going to have a direct effect on how you manage your mundane affairs. And so, as you enter into the Kundalini, and especially in the activated state. I mean, I say that first because that is one of the first and a very strong level of Kundalini, tactile and, well, I'm going to say emotionally tactile, mentally tactile, physically tactile environments. The Kundalini will come along and it will begin to infuse your body. And as it infuses the physical body, which you'll feel, it also infuses the emotional body, the psychological body, or what we call the ego. It also infuses I think if I mentioned the emotional, the mental, the physical, the psychological, the spiritual body is already really fairly well connected to the Kundalini. And so, within that context, the spiritual body is pretty much already there, especially if you're within an activated or an awakened process. So let's talk about this amplification. Your joy will be so amplified. It will be so amplified, you'll just want to spread it to the seven heavens, to the four corners of the earth, to the inside of the earth, the outside of the earth. I mean, you will just want to spread your joy so much. And it's just a wonderful feeling, and you just got to really look at yourself so you don't do anything that can get you arrested. Okay, so you don't go around and you start, saving everybody. Believe me, not everybody wants to be saved. Okay? People actually want their process. So this is like, we don't go around, what's that word, proselytizing. We don't go around proselytizing Kundalini so much because it is understood within Kundalini context, it is understood that people have their own level of refinement that they need to come through. Okay? They have their own level of karma that they have to meet, and they know this intuitively. They don't know this factually because they're behind the veil on purpose, just like you and I. We are purposefully behind the veil so that we can come into the self-realization, the God-realization, the understandings that bring us into the levels of Kundalini awakening and activation. And so they too are within their karma, the unawakened I'm speaking of now. They are also within their karma, within their understandings, within their refinement zones. And it is up to the Kundalini in them to help them reach out first. And people reach out many, many different ways. They reach out through looking on the web, and listening to this show, or taking in other kinds of information that they normally wouldn't be exposed to. Okay, that's a form of reaching out, or asking someone about, certain experiences they may have, or, seeking knowledge is a way of reaching out to find something that is, shall we say, of a clearer level of truth. Okay, but not everybody's doing that. I see Mary Jean is typing. Hello, my dear. Not everybody is doing that, and it's very important for us as Kundalini activated, awakened people to understand that and give people their space. Rosemary, she's an ex-mother superior. She knows lots of nuns, and yet she's not going over there proselytizing Kundalini. And then Mary Jean says, hello, she said, I finally made it by switching to Chrome. Oh, she's talking about the Google Chrome as opposed to coming in on Firefox, which is what I did. And she continues, as far as I have been able to figure it out, it seems that Firefox and Adobe Flash plugin are not compatible at the moment. I may be wrong, but I don't think it's Blog Talk this trip. I don't know, Mary Jean. I have confidence in Blog Talk screwing things up. We've had plenty of history with that, but I'll go with what you're saying today. And it says Phil Karuba also chimes in, and he's saying, yes, I just had to update my Adobe Flash, and Mary Jean says I updated it several times. So yeah. So just an FYI then. And this came up last week as well. If people want to switch to Google Chrome, and I think I'll try this next time as well, we'll switch to Google Chrome and see if that gets us onto Blog Talk much easier. I know that there's a lot of static right now between certain internet companies like Google and PayPal are having a little spat. And so I can't, you go to my blog, which is on Google, and you try to put a PayPal button on there, and Google won't allow it. And so it becomes very, very difficult to work the internet because Google and PayPal are having a little tiff. They just, God, it's all about competitive dominance, really, is what it is. And anyway, so we're just going to move on from that. But I appreciate your information, Mary Jean and Phil Karuba. Thank you both for that. And Mary Jean would like to say, I was desperate to get here to say thank you for the healing a couple of weeks back. So I persisted. Well, thank you for your persistence, Mary Jean. And your gratitude is echoed to the many, many people here who are listening on their computers, and here in the chat room, and here on the telephone, the people who are listening. And so you are most welcome. And I will put this out to anybody that's in the chat room or listening or wants to call up. We will give a prayer for you, my friends. Definitely give a prayer for all of you and any of you. All right. So as we continue with this understanding of the amplification effect that the Kundalini has, now it can blow your emotional body wide open. You will be cross for no reason. You will be uptight and agitated for no reason except that the Kundalini has come in and has given you an extra level of energy that can be metabolized by the four bodies, and I'm excluding the spiritual body on this, the four bodies of expression, as anxiety or extra levels of energy that we're not used to having. And so the ego mind, which has a finger into each of the four bodies, is misinterpreting that as anxiety, as irritation. And it can also misinterpret it as fear or as anger. Okay? And so you want to be very, 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 very cautious and careful about how you interact with people that are not in the activated or awakened state, because they will misinterpret your the tone in your voice or the actions of your communication, whether it be physical, body language. I just got a picture of somebody flipping a person off in traffic. I mean, I mean, there's definite communicative techniques. You want to be very careful with how you manifest your communications. Go out of your way to be kind, considerate, and gentle. Kind and considerate and gentle. They do not know what you're going through. They know even less than you know. And so they're just kind of looking at a person that in some ways they'll feel attracted to. They'll just want to stare at you. They'll want to touch you, or they'll want to really listen to what you're saying carefully because of the Kundalini presence upon you. What they won't understand is what that Kundalini presence is doing to you. They won't get that. And so you want to be very, very patient. Go out of your way. Force yourself to be patient. Force yourself to be kind, even if you're not feeling that way. Okay? Go out of your way to be kind and considerate and compassionate in your communications with other people, because they're not getting what's happening to you. And they're very attracted to you and what you're saying and why you're saying it. They don't understand why they want to look at you or hear your words. In many ways, they just don't they just kind of feel that, oh God, yeah, I want to listen to Heli Hainonen, and I just really feel, like she has something that I want to say, or I want to listen to Fashji because I just feel that he has something for me. I don't know why, I don't know what, but I just feel like I need to hear what he has to say, or to Mary Jean, or Phil Karuba, or Alana Seeker, Vincent. I mean, it's very important that we are kind and compassionate to the people who are not in the awakened state. We need to go out of our way to be this way. Okay? It's very, very important that you remember that, because the Kundalini, as it comes through you, it's going to have definite effect upon your moods. How are you? What are you moody today or not? Are you moving through the mood network? Are you going from happy to sad, from joyful to angry? And the Kundalini can move you that way. It can run you through the entire spectrum of human emotions in 3 minutes. And you just need to just take a breath and remember that, and the Kundalini will help you with it. It will go with you on this. Okay. So let's just say that Phil Karuba. So Phil's having the Kundalini, and he's going through the mood spectrums and the enhancements and the all of this stuff, and he wants to talk with unawakened Chrism. And unawakened Chrism's kind of like going, wow, that Phil guy, I don't understand. I just feel like I can learn something from him, or I feel attracted to something about him that I just can't put my finger on, but I just want to listen to him. Whereas Phil might be going through that mood spectrum at that time. You're going, why is that bearded idiot staring at me? He may be just in that zone where he's really trying to get a finger on his emotions, really trying to acclimate to the new spectrum that the Kundalini is introducing him to, this amplified spectrum. And he may not appreciate some old guy, looks homeless, is staring at him and kind of like quizzically looking at him like maybe he's got a bug on his hair or something. I mean, I don't know. But I would suggest to Phil to just be gentle, be kind, be considerate, go out of your way to be that way. Because what also happens is you begin to stabilize yourself within the emotional environment of kindness and consideration and patience. This also gets amplified. And as that gets amplified, that in turn is given back to you. So you receive what you give with the Kundalini, from the Kundalini. So I strongly suggest that people who are inside of the activation or the awakening really go out of their way to practice emotional stability that is flavored with kindness, with patience, with understanding, with respect. Because you got to understand that the people around you don't know what's happening to you. They feel attracted to you. They want to hear you. They want to see you. In many cases, they want to touch you, but they don't know why. They just kind of feel these compellings to interact with you in some way. And I'll tell you, you may not feel like being touched that day. You may not feel like being stared at that day. But you're going to have to bend over backwards to allow that to occur, because you are a lighthouse. You are an energetic lighthouse for the people on this world. That in and of itself is a responsibility that is not a small one. I think we were talking last week about how your radiance blossoms out from you and how your emotional patterns can be broadcast into the population by virtue of your Kundalini. So it's very important for you to have emotional control. And I mean, like, you can have many and varied emotions within this amplified level of Kundalini. You know, you'll have many and varied, but always slant them towards kindness, forgiveness, tolerance, honesty, truth, helpfulness. Those are the areas that you really want to focus yourself on, and by virtue of that, focusing the Kundalini on, and by virtue of that, having those qualities come right back at you. You see the loop? What you give out into society returns to you from the healing that you're giving into society. So you give a healing and you get a healing. It's a very, very, very important equation to remember within the amplified areas of Kundalini activity. When you give a healing, you receive a healing. And you may not receive it right off the bat, but you just might. You just might. So it's very important for people to remember that. And so as Phil is standing there, you know, looking at this old guy, looking back at him quizzically, and just kind of, you know, as Phil's going through all of his feelings and his you know, the many different levels of a sine wave that a person with activated awakened Kundalini will give, patience, tolerance, happiness, understanding, respect, kind consideration will go a long ways in helping Phil stabilize, and will also go a long ways into helping that unawakened person perhaps find their path into the activated state. And Phil writes, he says, funny you use the lighthouse analogy. I often feel like a lighthouse keeper. Well, there you go. There you go, Phil. We are all Kundalini lighthouse keepers. Okay, we keep the body. We receive the information. We don't have much of a choice in that. I may have mentioned in other programs how little of a choice a person in the awakened format and the activated format has with regards to Kundalini. But we have certain levels of choice inside of how we choose to resist or not. And I'm going to suggest that we don't resist, that we communicate with the Kundalini, that we talk with it, just as if we're talking to another person. And in about 60% of the people, this will have a beneficial effect. Some people will not have a beneficial effect from this because there's a very, very strong agenda that the Kundalini has for that person. And the strength of that agenda outweighs the strength of the person's making conversation or asking for the Kundalini to let me sleep or give me more energy, or I need to do this or I need to do that, or I need to stay in my toxic dump heap of a home instead of moving somewhere else where the Kundalini wants you to move. It may cause you to do things that are outside of your comfort zone, and that amplification, will also come through as a compelling to do a certain thing. Like leave your current situation and enter into another situation. So you need to understand that, and you need to realize that that is also part of the amplification of Kundalini upon your life system. Now, Kundalini is in your life now. It's amplifying certain areas of your life, and you need to understand that. You are no longer who you once were. If you've just had an activation into the Kundalini or a Shaktipat, or the Kundalini has just come to you and awakened itself within you, self-realized, well, you are no longer who you were 5 years ago, or 3 years ago, or last year. You are not that person, and therefore, I will advise that you do not enter into your life experience with the same assumptions and expectations that you had last year or 5 years ago. You need to change. Once you understand that it is Kundalini that has come to you, and you've looked at all the different phenomena, you looked at all the different experiences, you looked at all the different information, and that information all adds up to Kundalini in you, well, then that is the new paradigm. That is the new paradigm. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female. It doesn't matter whether you're successful in society or absolutely not successful in society. It doesn't matter if you're blonde or brunette or a redhead or long hair or no hair. Okay, it doesn't matter if you have a long white beard or you don't have a beard. It doesn't matter. Those things are they just don't really come into the conversation, except certainly when you realize that you have the Kundalini and the Kundalini has you. Well, that some of those areas will matter then, but the actual Kundalini giving of itself into you, it's going to give to you. I don't care if you're a quadriplegic, a paraplegic. I don't care if you've got AIDS. I don't care if you've got a hurtful menstrual cycle. I don't care. It's going to come. And it will have you in the way it wants to have you. And much of that having you is going to occur within an extremely amplified state amongst the four bodies, leaving out the spiritual body. You need to understand this. Many of you don't have a choice. And a lot of you are going to rebel because you don't have a choice. You're going to rebel. You're going to say, well, forget this. I don't want anything to do with this. I don't even like watermelon. So you got to understand that. You got to realize that, and you've got to make you have to make yourself ready to have these amplifications, because it's not going away. I don't care how many gallons of Depakote, which is a fairly strong a medical resort to Kundalini. They basically drug you into stupefaction. It's not going to kill the Kundalini. It may make things really, really difficult for the individual having it, but it's not going to put it away. It's just going to cover up symptoms with really, really ugly symptoms. So, once again, I would never, if my cat Lasha started, even though, she's already got it now, but if she didn't have it before and I started watching her go through all these perambulations of Kundalini, I wouldn't take her to a veterinary professional. And I will suggest that anybody that has the Kundalini not be taken to a veterinary specialist. And I'll let you take that where you need to take that. Pardon my sniffles here. I have some sniffles. Okay. So if you have any questions about this, well, what happened to that? Can people hear me? Hello? I've just lost my my call-in number here. Oh, here it is. I see it. They moved it. They moved it. They moved my guest call-in number. It is United States area code 347-934-0026. If you have any questions about this. Thank you, Mary Jean. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Fashji. Thank you, Helly, and thank you, Centaura. Yeah, they moved something around here. Thank you, Knowing Star Woman. Thank you very much. They moved my numbers around. The guest call-in number was on the left side. Now they've moved it to the right side. So I apologize. I apologize for that. The guest call-in number is 347-934-0026 if you wish to talk about this or any other aspect of your Kundalini awakening scenario. Right now, however, as people are pondering whether to dial their phone, I would like to go to Her Holiness, Rosemary Goliath. Trying to get there.
Hello.
Here.
Hello.
Hello, Rosemary. How are you?
I'm fine, Chrism. Thank you. And thank you
for the
Do you
have any announcements that you would like to make, my dear?
I do. I am busy at work here in Minnesota, and we have a seminar November 14th and 15th, and a very important expo in town the week before that we will be at that too, the Edge Expo for Minnesotans. And also I'm doing screenings, so if you're listening from Minnesota and you'd like me to come and show the film and talk about Kundalini, just give me a call. My phone number is 651-452-3161, and email address is rosemaryg@usinternet.com.
And Rosemary, just so you know that, yes, I will be sending you the projector so that you can have your own projector with doing that. And I would like to get a hold of you when you're at home sometimes with Skype, okay?
Yes, me too. Thank you.
Okay, my dear, putting you back in the blue. All right. And so, yeah, if you can make it to Minnesota in November, please get a hold of Rosemary G., and she will help and direct you. And you know, she's becoming quite a veteran at putting on these seminars, and they're always very, very, very well done. I have to say, I give the highest compliments to Rosemary and Santara and Eileen for their excellence in the seminars that they put on. And I mean, really, really, really well done, ladies. Thank you so much. And thank you on the behalf of the future people that will be attending them and on the people that have attended them in the past. Thank you very, very much. So let's look closer at this amplified scenario here. Not only will your emotions be amplified, but the physical / emotional desires will be amplified as well. You may have a sexual desire that just goes through the roof. You'll want to have sex with you know, well, you just want to have a lot of sex. Let's put it that way. You'll want to have a lot of sex. Your ego, feeling this amplification, may go on a drinking binge or a smoking binge or you know, some sort of a binge that does all the ego things. You know, cigarettes, marijuana, rum, cigars, pipes, alcohol, you name it. Whatever the ego in you likes to do that may not be so healthy for you, but which you know, that may be amplified as well. You want to be very, 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 very aware of that. Especially for those of you that are deeper into the activation and the awakening. You know what not to do, but your ego may push you into it. So you want to be very, very clear about how that is going. And in fact, she's asking about how about EDG, and I would like to say Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez puts on an excellent seminar. That seminar at the castle was one of my favorites, just being at the castle. Just being with Elizabeth and her husband, Al. Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Pasty. Thank you. I just don't see her on here, so I was looking at the people that are calling in and you guys there in the chat room, which is why I didn't remember. So, and I see Carolyn has joined us. Hello, Carolyn. Nice to see you. So yeah. Definitely Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez as well. And so look at these amplifications. Look at how your emotions are amplified. Look at how your desires are amplified. Okay, look, and just the desires and the emotions totally flavor how you live your life. Let's talk about the emotions again. How are you when your anger goes through the roof? How are you when the Kundalini gets a hold of you, amplifies your entire physical, emotional, mental system, and wham, you go to, say, an anger. You go from anger, even the slightest anger, into a rage of anger. And so you need to be very, 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 very careful with this. And Knowing Star Woman is asking, what's up with the pain in my back? Just to the right of the spine, about 2 inches below the waist. It is really bad when I lie down. Any idea? Thank you, Chrism. Yes, my dear, that is the woman. Nothing Star Woman. That is the sacred woman that is building up energy in the lower spine. Okay, and it's going to build, and it's going to build, and it's going to build. And if I were you, Knowing Star Woman, I would definitely start a practice of the safeties if you haven't already. And that is also just I got to tell you, NSW, KSW, Knowing Star Woman, I have to tell you that is going to build the energy in even more, and that will also maybe increase the pain a little bit, okay? The reason being is your Kundalini is building up in the pelvic girdle, and the pelvic girdle serves as a very strong bone container for the evolutionary energy as it is laying dormant within the body. As the pressure builds and builds and builds, it is actually pushing its way through the pelvic girdle, through the first chakra, or actually from the dormant area into the first chakra, which is feeling kind of what I'm getting a visual of what's happening with you, Knowing Star. And so really begin to nurture this, to accept this, to enjoy this, to want this. It's very important that you do that. A lot of the lower back pain in this country and in other countries is due to an activating Kundalini. And I want you to really, really take care of yourself in this way. Increase your water intake. Look at the amplifications that may be happening in your life. Start eating the watermelon. Take the caffeine out of the equation. Take the high fructose corn syrup out of the equation. Take the genetically modified organisms or GMOs out of the equation. Start eating as much organic as you can. Start to really clean up your system, Knowing Star Woman. Really clean up the system. And yes, you're going to have a lot of stomach distress as well. You may have a lot of gas. You may have a lot of painful peristalsis, which is the movement of the intestines as it pushes food down through the body system. So this is also part of it. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So look at that. Be very, very clear with that. As you do the 5 Tibetans, as you do these different exercises that support the Kundalini, you may start building the Kundalini more and more and more. So understand that that's what's happening. And let me tell you, a little bit of knowledge goes a long ways. It goes a long way. Okay? Be okay with this. Be okay with this. You're not listening to this program accidentally, Knowing Star Woman. Okay? And I see Vincent is also typing, and so we'll see what that's coming up with. But anyway, for those of you that do have an issue like Knowing Star Woman, or even your own, just feel free to call in 347-934-0026, or come into the chat room. And Knowing Star Woman also posts, really scared of dizziness. How do I deal with that? sit down. Sitting down is good. Now, if you're having dizziness while you're driving, don't drive. Don't drive. Come into an understanding of why you're having dizziness. Often, greater levels of Kundalini into a person's body will start off with levels of dizziness. The Tibetans know this, and this is their first Tibetan is, spinning from left to right, and that causes dizziness. Vincent says, I have also this pain, but my Kundalini has forbidden me to do the 5 Tibetans. Also today, I was not allowed to express as much forgiveness. Might this be the Kundalini keeping me back a little? Probably more of an entity issue. The Kundalini would never, ever suppress your forgiveness. Ever. So I would say that's more of an entity issue. Knowing Star Woman says, I mean with the Kundalini when it ascends. I've got to get the context there. Oh, I see. When it ascends. Well, yeah, that can cause dizziness, for sure. For sure. Yeah, Vince, you just want to get those entities under control, under your control. Don't you let them tell you anything. And don't let them masquerade as Kundalini either. This can happen, folks, and so I'm just bringing it up. Yes, a lump in the throat or a fifth chakra blockage can be an entity trying to control you through the communication channels that are there within the throat chakra. So you want to be very, very careful about taking any advice from something that's calling itself the Kundalini. The Kundalini doesn't call itself Kundalini. You just know that it is the truth. It is truth. And it goes beyond what I can explain with words. It is, truth from Kundalini when it is expressed to you. There is no doubt. It's like God does not place doubt in you when God is communicating with you. Entities, on the other hand, are full of doubt. And they lie. And so there you have that. Now, I've covered this a lot in other programs. And so, but the amplification effect, you want to be very, very, very aware of. The amplification on the physical level can be just as Knowing Star Woman has described it. You get this real strong pain in the lower spine, in the lower pelvic girdle. Okay? And this is the forced widening of energetic channels that are connected to your energetic anatomy that are being pushed wider slowly but inexorably by the Kundalini. It is starting to come up those channels. And it's pushing and widening. Okay? Phil asks, if we are under steady persecution from people who see our demise, must we forgive them? Yeah. You want to forgive them. Number one, you have Kundalini, so your demise is really, it's more in the hands of Kundalini than it is in any other person. Okay? So you need to really, 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 really understand them. Who seek our demise. I see, Phil. What are you, a law enforcement officer? What's going on there? What are you, a prison guard? So you have to understand that when you're in a scenario where people are seeking your demise, your Kundalini knows this. Your Kundalini totally understands this. So yes, you forgive them and you forget that. Now, if somebody is hunting you with a gun or stalking you with a knife, that's a different story. But once again, your Kundalini understands what is happening, and you will be guided away from that persecution or towards it, if that's what needs to occur. So somebody's stalking you, threatening your life, Phil, is that what you're saying? And I'll wait for you to answer that. So yeah, if somebody is stalking you, gang stalked, I see. Well, yes, you want to forgive them. You do not want to fall into the character of such low vibration. That's an invitation for you. It's an invitation for you to go into fear And it's an invitation for you to lower yourself into that area. Now, can you leave the area? Leave the area. Do you need to live in a gang-infested environment? Number one. So Kundalini may be allowing that to happen to you, to maybe light a campfire under your rear end, to get the hell out of there. You don't need to be there. Nowhere to run. Here we go. So Philip is answering that, I believe, and there's always a bus station, Phil. If you're living in the, we got a lot of stuff going on here. Phil is being tested like Job, Atlanta Seeker says. Vincent, wrote this long thing. It's going to be a little disjointed to listeners here, so I'm going to go ahead and move the conversation. No offense to Vincent or to Atlanta Seeker, but I do need to keep a level of cogent conversation with this. No need to be sorry, Phil. It's fine, but maybe you just need to get out of that area. Okay, that's another option for you. And when you say nowhere to run, I'll send you $50 and you can take a bus out here. So there's anything is possible within Kundalini. Anything. But I would very, very, very much caution you to get out of a gangland mindset and to get out of a gangland environment. Not to say that you don't know where to go and where not to go, but if you're in that kind of a scenario, Phil, make a move. Make a move. Any move, but make a move that makes you safer and more secure than you were before you made that move. Kundalini will help. You'll be given information. You can count on that. All right, so as we continue with amplification, so in Phil's case, you're being stalked. You're being stalked by gang members, which have no problem hurting people or killing people. They're all possessed in a demonic way, and so they're basically expressions of negativity on this world that are being given into this world as a challenge to a person like Phil who is having Kundalini. And the first thing I'm going to suggest to Phil is to do not be afraid. And yes, indeed, forgive that person. The forgiveness releases the handle of interest they may even have on you. Okay, so Phil's fear is now having an opportunity for amplification. And when your fear is amplified, you have a greater propensity towards attracting whatever it is that fear is towards you. So forgiveness allows the fear to be dissolved or dissipated to a great degree. So yes, Phil, I would certainly, within this circumstance, have you forgive that individual. And really be sincere with it. Go into gratitude for the Kundalini allowing you to understand what is occurring around you and allowing you the tool of forgiveness so that you don't fall into a greater level of fear. It's very important that you recognize this. And this goes for everybody. Atlanta Seeker, Carolyn, Fasti, Hailey, Mary Jane, Vincent, and Eileen, Rosemary, Joey, Santara. This is very, very, very important for people to remember that Kundalini can enhance your fear without you knowing it. You just feel fear that is stronger than you really have ever felt it before, and it gives you a greater level of urgency, and it it really pushes you into areas of fear response that you don't want to misplace. You don't want to misplace it as being truth. Fear is not truth. Okay. You don't want to misplace fear as truth. Now, if you're in the jungle and you're face to face with a jaguar and you're feeling fear, well, that's a much closer level of truth. But if you have Kundalini, you may not you may not have to face that jaguar at all. And if you do, the last thing you want to do is to go in fear in front of the jaguar, because jaguars and other animals like dogs can see fear, horses too, by the way, they see fear as a radiation, as an energetic emanation from the creature that they're looking at. So it's very important for you to get hold of your fear and move through it, or don't even go there if you don't have to. Okay, you understand that? Now, people that are possessed by demonic entities or negative entities of some sort, they also can sense fear. And so they'll also, chase a person down just because they can sense that fear. And so once again, Phil and other people who have this come into their life, you need to trust your Kundalini so completely, so fully that your fear, even though you may feel it, takes a very, very diminished course through your system. Your trust and your surrender to the Kundalini is what drives your life now. Trust and surrender in the Kundalini negates the levels of fear that a person needs to go through, or has the opportunity to go through. Very important that you realize this. The enhancement of your life with Kundalini is very much geared towards stepping into a half divine, half human life. Well, you've got to really, really, really take care of that human aspect of yourself. Take control of it. Change the parameters of response for the human side. Don't worry about the divine side. The divine side will take care of itself, but the human side still needs your discipline and your willingness to surrender and to give yourself to the Kundalini, or to the Kundalini teacher that it has assigned you to, if you have a flesh teacher, if you're lucky enough to have a flesh teacher. My process took me a really long time because I didn't have one of those. So pay attention to this. Really. Half divine, half human. Think about that. Alana Seeker says, does that mean the third chakra is unbalanced? Yeah. Not quite sure if what means your third chakra is unbalanced. But yes, when you have fear. No. Fear is a natural thing. I mean, that's a first chakra issue anyway. It has nothing to do with the third chakra. Fear and safety and security are all first chakra manifestations. This is why, your sphincter tightens up when you're really afraid, and, these types of things. These are all first chakra issues. But so is the Kundalini also a first chakra issue. So the level of corporeal fear that you may feel if you're face-to-face with that mountain lion, or you're face-to-face with that gangster that is, pointing a gun or a weapon at you, that all has to do with the Kundalini, and you need to really give yourself to the Kundalini first, because the Kundalini will simply go into that jaguar or that mountain lion or that gangster and change their mind. It will give them something else to think about, or it will give them a different direction. You just must have that confidence in your Kundalini, that trust in your Kundalini, that surrender in your Kundalini. And Alana Seeker continues, she says, how is chakra imbalance different in active versus inactive people? Kundalini is the main difference. I mean, the Kundalini will straighten out your chakras automatically. You don't need to go in and go, where's my new age chakra balancer? Where's the chakra balance lotion at CVS? Yeah, they'll probably have that soon enough. So no, you don't need to touch your chakras, and just trust your Kundalini. Ask your Kundalini to give your chakras what they need to be given in order for them to be balanced. Listen to your Kundalini as it guides you in your diet and in your response to fear-inducing experiences in your life. Listen to the Kundalini as it guides you through that maze of potential fear responses. The guidance and the very fact that you're even listening to this tells me that your chakras are doing just fine. We're talking about now with an amplification of fear, we're talking about an amplified first chakra. And that first chakra always is going to be striving towards safety and security for the physical well-being of that individual. The physical well-being of that individual. And the Kundalini is going to support that. You know, it's not in you just so you can go get wasted by some demonically possessed gangster. Phil, you need to understand that. Uh-oh. Anybody hear me? I'm back. You say I'm back? I'm going to... Here's Centaur.
Sorry, Chrism, you went blank there for a while. Just a minute.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Maybe it was just me. It was just 30 or 40 seconds. Hello?
Okay, I'm here. I'm just wondering. I mean, geez Louise. I lost.
Yeah, knowing that woman, I lost you twice.
God, that is
there was another
so
pause
frustrating.
earlier, Chrism. I'm so sorry. There was a pause as well earlier. Just again, half a minute.
Well, I'm already. So. I just want everybody to know I am so ready to go into a rage right now. Oh my gosh! And I feel the Kundalini amplifying my rage, and I'm going to forgive Blog Talk Radio. I'm going to forgive internet technology. I'm going to forgive, who can I forgive? I'll just forgive everyone that's connected with Blog Talk Radio. And I'm just going to move on.
Well, Helly has been hearing you all the time, so that's good.
Well, Helly,
to hear that, Helly. Yeah,
thank
trying
you,
to
Helly.
continue things that's
And stand by a moment here, just a moment, please.
Okay, I'm going to speak so that people think that we're gone off air.
Well, I am gone off air. What do you?
Phil can hear you all the time as well, so that's good.
All right, very good. Oh, and I want to say hello to Cole.
Okay,
hello,
I'm going
Cole.
to go blue, Chrism, and go on.
All right, so yeah, you're right. It's just a psych job for sure. Phil, I'm talking to you right now, Phil Karuba. So don't you worry about that fear. You just trust your Kundalini. Your Kundalini will help you always and in all ways. Trust that. Surrender yourself to that. Give your life and the control of your life to that. And I'm thinking, Phil, let's look at a different living scenario for you, my friend. Let's get you out here in earthquake country. Have you ever surfed the land? Well, see, that's what it's like to be in earthquake country. So you come on out here, my friend. You don't need to live in that type of an environment. So continuing on, I'd like to say hello once again to Cole Kundalini and to somebody who has just logged in, and I guess guest 1301. Hello there, Mr. and Mrs. Guest. All right, so you have to understand how important amplification is to the Kundalini awakening person. Where you would have had a specific level of emotional response before your Kundalini, you'll have 1,000 times stronger response with the Kundalini. And this is necessary. These are enhancements in a way. This level of expansion of your five-body system. These are enhancements. these are broadening the receptive capabilities of your 5-body system through a way of forcing them open. So you're forcing the spectrum to widen. You're forcing your horizon to widen. You're forcing, or actually the Kundalini itself is pushing these things into a wider format so that you can have the amplification is that push. So if you had a human spectrum of 1 through 7, now you're having a human perspective or human expression spectrum from negative 1,000 to positive 1,000. That's a pretty big expansion. And so you need to give yourself time to come into balance with that increased spectrum of human experience. But I'm also going to add non-human experience. I'm going to add divine experience into this, because you are becoming semi-divine with the Kundalini. That is its modus operandi. That is, one of the goals that it has for you is semi-divinity in this lifetime. So Cole and Vincent and Phil and Mary and Knowing and Helly and Guest and Fashti and Carolyn and Alana Seeker and KAS1 co-host, you are all in that boat, that divine boat. Reminds me of a song from Guys and Dolls, and it goes like this. I dreamed last night I got on the boat to heaven, and by some chance I had brought my dice along, and there I stood, and I hollered, someone paid me, but the passengers were bound to resist. For the people all said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. The people all said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. For the devil will drag you under by the fancy tie around your wicked throat. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. Reminded me of that song, and I've actually done that show, so I know the song. I don't know if that came through at all. It probably came through just a garbled bunch of whatever. But yeah, you are on that divine boat. You are on that boat to heaven. Thank you. You are on that boat to heaven. You are the boat to heaven. That body you're wearing right now, that is your boat. You are on the boat to heaven, and you don't want to succumb to the desires like gambling in this case for that gentleman, or going into fear or responding negatively to the amplification that container you're wearing is going through as it transforms, say, from a rowboat into a starship or an angelic body. I mean, you're literally becoming an angelic body in a way which goes beyond any kind of a material-based transport system. That's what's happening. You are that boat to heaven. You are that being that is being transformed. And in that transformation, certain levels of energy are going to be pushed into your system. And those levels of energy are going to cause extreme levels of amplification. This is how it works. And that amplification for Knowing Star Woman at this current time is expressing as pain in the lower pelvic regions, which is totally normal, totally natural. Don't take painkillers. Just start talking to the Kundalini. Start surrendering yourself to the Kundalini. Start giving yourself into the agenda of the Kundalini. Practice those safeties. But it's also dealing with levels of fear, levels of safety and security. Safety and security in the unknown. You see, this is the big caveat with the Kundalini is we don't know about it so much in the West. We don't know how it works or what it does or why it does, what it does, where it does, what it does. We don't know what the end product is either. I mean, some of us do, but most of us don't. I do. And it's just exactly as I said. You're being changed into semi-divinity. You're being changed into half human, half divine. Call divine whatever you want it to be, but that is what it is. Okay, you're going superhumanal. Oh, you heard it here first, folks. Not superluminal, superhumanal. Here, I'll write that down just so. Super, and I'm going to be writing about this. Humanal. I'm sorry. It just cracks me up. Vincent asks, Chrism, if you have time, please elaborate on controlling and then getting rid of those entities. Well, okay. The entities are not there accidental. They're there on purpose, and they're there for you to discern the truth from the lie. But it's a very, 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 very tricky little trail that you're walking when you're dealing with entities. You have to begin to stick to a very, very strong and level guidance of truth, honesty, love to Kundalini, surrender to Kundalini, not that which is calling itself Kundalini, not that which is just taking you away from the practice of the safeties. Kundalini would never say, oh, don't forgive now. That's just a bunch of hooey. That's a full-on lie. And so I will suggest that you need to not trust anything that source is telling you, Vincent. And we both know that it's been telling you a bunch of shit for a very, very long time. And it's going to be very hard for you to discern from that excrement to the truth. And it's a difficult path that you're walking, but it is very possible for you to overcome this and for you to learn the lessons that are involved by having this. So don't you worry. Right now, I just want you to practice the safeties and forget about what that inner voice may be telling you. That inner voice is not a true voice. It's an entity voice. The entities are, in a way, Vincent, they are there to push you into doing the opposite. So if they say don't forgive, then you start forgiving. If they say don't love, then you start loving. If they say be brutal, then you're very gentle. See what I'm saying? It's the crucible of reversal. Yes, it can try to. It can try to suppress your inner voice, but it won't. It won't succeed. You just continue to practice those safeties and practice that crucible of reversal. Do the opposite of what they're telling you to do, and stay very, very strong and high in your ethics and your morality. Your human ethics, your societal ethics, and your morality. Those are the areas where they're going to corrupt you or try to corrupt you the most. Remember, these are war-based entities that you allowed yourself to come into contact with. So they're corruptive, and they're going to do everything they can do to corrupt your equation. You've got to do everything you can do to not allow that to occur. And you're not alone with this. A lot of people have entities. And they can mess with your energetic structure for sure, but you are the one that is ultimately in charge. You either pay attention or you don't. I'm going to suggest that you don't pay attention to them. You pay attention to your ethics, to your morality, and to the true Kundalini within you. That's what you pay attention to. Well, however they came into you then. So the amplification is a necessity, ladies and gentlemen. It is a necessity. You must allow that amplification to occur, and yet you also must begin to change your response. The frequency of response that you have with regards to that expansion. Okay? Let yourself understand That, okay, this is Kundalini expanding my fear. This is Kundalini expanding my greed. This is Kundalini expanding my lust, and I will not do these things. I will not allow fear to exist within my expansion. I will not allow corrupt desires to exist within my expansion. These no longer control me. Kundalini controls me. I give myself to Kundalini. That is what I do. That is how I choose. That is how I choose. Okay? Make sure you make that choice. It's just like I was saying to Vincent just a while ago. Many, many, many people have entities trying to influence them within their Kundalini equation. And when you stick strongly to your ethics and your morality, and I mean the ethics, if you're in France, then it's the ethics and morality of France. If you're in Canada, then it's the ethics and morality in Canada. If you're in Iquitos, Peru, then it's the ethics and morality of Iquitos, Peru. I mean, these are the societies that we live in. So you begin to reflect the ethics and morality of the society that you live in, but in a very, very, very positive and strong and secure manner. Okay. It's very, very important that you stick to those strong, love-based, forgiveness-based, non-fear-based scenarios. Because that expansion will reach into those areas too. But as you practice fearlessness, as you practice forgiveness, as you practice love and you practice joyfulness, inner joy, outer joy, as you practice those things, those will also be expanded, and they will expand beyond the parameters of what fear or lust or greed has been allowed to expand within you. So make sure that you expand along those lines rather than the shall we say, the corrupted line. Okay, and Vincent asks, can entities only speak one language, or is the entity not restricted to language, but rather knowledge or intent? Yeah, entities can speak more than one language. They're more mind readers, though. They look at the mind. But if it is a lower entity, it will be subjected to the language that it died with. Okay, or that it has the most contact with, and I'm suggesting pretty low entities if they're language based, verbal language based. I mean, that's a low entity, probably causing you a lot of problems too. Okay. All right, everybody. Now I'm going to bring Her Holiness Santara online, and we may have some questions. We don't know.
Hi,
are you?
Yes,
hey, you notice there has been no, reference to anything like that. So just so you know.
Yes, nobody knows what you're talking about except me, of course.
I think they do. Yes, Vincent.
So,
in answer to your question, it can make your throat and chakra and thyroid. Yeah, it can make you have those issues for sure. Go ahead, my dear Santara.
Okay, so the first question I was going to ask you, there was a few of these in various ways expressed in the groups. It was about, what was the purpose to rise Kundalini? What is the overall purpose of having a Kundalini awakening? And does it put the person on the path that they are destined for? But you've mentioned that, back during the
purpose is
the show today already.
The purpose is. What was that? Let me see here. The purpose is superhumanal.
I like that.
Superhumanal. It's the purpose is divine humanity. That is the purpose, and it is Maha. It is the most powerful urge that a person will have in their life, and they may resist that because they want to go out and get laid, or go out and play poker, or go out and drink alcohol, or go out and and do heroin or methamphetamine or some other debilitating type of scenario. But they will be corrected in whatever format the Kundalini feels is best for them to be corrected in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So this was on the group, Chrism, and there's been a discussion on it, but I'm going to ask the question. Regarding Kundalini and sex, I've come across a lot of literature that suggests not to masturbate. Is this because masturbation is somehow a forced act and not spontaneous?
Self-stimulation, the Kundalini will often encourage self-stimulation. For men, it is slightly different than it is for women. But even self-stimulation for men, which is done, at a very, very early age to an extreme late age, self-stimulation is not in and of itself a damage to Kundalini at all. Divinity can pull sperm into the system whenever it wants. If you have Kundalini, you're activated with Kundalini, or you're awakened in the Kundalini in you can pull your sperm or your seminal fluid, if you're a man, up to the spine and up to anywhere it wants. I have felt it doing this. It's called genital fluidic ascendance, GFA. And let me tell you, the science has no clue about what some of the reproductive organs are used for, but I'll tell you one thing. They are an extremely effective pump. I mean, it's a very, very fast, it is a very, very tactile pump, and it will pump that semen, that sperm, straight up, through the prostate and into the spinal column, into the spinal cord, into the Cittrini channel. But that's not saying, I'm not saying to all men everywhere, okay, guys, choke that chicken to your heart's content. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that it is not disastrous if you do that. For the most part, I counsel that you keep that sperm inside you. You let that sperm be the progenitor of that new angelic divine person, rather than spilling it on the ground. You let the sperm work for you the same way it would work inside of a female, birthing that new child or generating and making that new child. Well, you're the new child now. Kundalini is your parent, and you are being birthed as a new semi-divinity upon this world. So I'd say it's very important that you let the sperm do its work, but do not be hoodwinked or do not buy into the programs that many people that are into celibacy, they push that out there because they really want to feel good about what they're doing, and so then it's the best thing for everybody. Oh my gosh, because it's good for me, it's good for everyone and their pet. No, you do not need to have celibacy. You do not need to worry about losing your sperm, because I'll tell you what, guys, you give that sperm sometimes at nighttime. Okay? That stuff leaks right on out, as we all know. So if that's the case, where's the logic of the challenge? It's like, oh my God, you let some of that go during sleep. You had a nighttime emission? Oh, you're going to hell now. Oh, you totally messed that up. Oh, you may as well just cut that thing off. No. I suppose Blog Talk automatically, took that off. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but yeah. You don't need to worry about.
We can hear you, but can I interrupt and ask you, because whenever there's a question asked about masturbation, immediately we think of the guides. So could we address this in terms of women?
Well, of course, that's how I answered that. That's how I answered that post. It's not all about sperm.
Yeah.
Half the population has ovaries, And so what about that? Oh my gosh, what about that? It's not even close to the same. Women, you can have orgasm after orgasm. Don't try to fight that. If the Kundalini wants you to have an orgasm, have that orgasm. But and self-stimulating, the Kundalini may cause you to want to self-stimulate as too. That expansion, will cause you to have that that extra level of libido. But you have a very, very effective pump in your genitals as well, and it will pump the necessary fluids that it wants to bring into your spinal cord. And you as well will have nighttime emissions too. It's just that, this world for the past, 5,000 years have given women short shrift and have given men, the big focus. It's all about the penis and sperm and testicles, and we want a son, we'll just go drown the little daughter if we happen to have that. That's been the attitude in this world, which is such bullshit. See, I'm getting really profane here, aren't I? It's like talking about this and that. But it's true. It's true. So women are just as powerful as men, and in many cases more so. I mean, let's watch a man give birth, shall we? I guess that's called a kidney stone. Ouch. So if the woman finds herself self-stimulating, well, you go for it. You have that wonderful orgasm. Just don't make it a 10 times a day thing. Let the Kundalini guide you towards certain levels of abstinence as well, and this goes for the men too. It's not all about having genital pleasure all day long. Hello? You know who I'm talking to. Hello? That's right. I'm talking to you. It's not about self-stimulating all day long because you have nothing else to do. Because you don't have enough money, or you don't have wheels, or you can't walk around town or whatever. It's not about just staying at home and self-stimulating. You need to get out into your world. You need to do your Kundalini practice. You need to do your forgivenesses. You need to do your exercises. You don't need to belong to a gym to exercise either. You can do 100 push-ups every day, right there in the comfort of your own home. You can do it on your bed if that's all you got. Believe me, I've been homeless. I know about cramped spaces. I've lived in a VW, a 67 VW Bug. Think about that. And you can still do your exercises. You can't necessarily spin. Unless the car is
Yeah.
But the self-stimulation...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I would say sometimes the amplification of the libido, or that sexual urge, if that's what you call it, that can be used towards the Kundalini as well, rather than bringing it, through self-stimulation.
That's right. You give it straight to the Kundalini.
Yeah.
And men and women, I mean, think about it. When you feel that strong libido, that amplification of the libido, just say to yourself, I give this to Kundalini. I give these fluids to the Kundalini, and wait and see if the pump gets turned on. And it might very well get turned on right at that moment. And you'll feel a vibration. From a man's standpoint, I felt it, and it literally feels like a backflow, sperm and semen, into the prostate and into the spine. You literally feel the energetic rush. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chrism.
Sure.
Next question is, this one was sent privately, so you have addressed it a few times, but I'm going to ask you. I have read a few times on Chrism's groups that he doesn't recommend breath of fire, and this was mentioned again yesterday. Please ask him on my behalf what is wrong with doing breath of fire. Thank you.
Yeah. For awakened people, breath of fire, or activated people, breath of fire is not to be done. I know. Every yoga studio, it seems, in the country here in the United States is going,
Okay, everybody. Well, you did very well with your asanas. Now, what we're going to do now is breath of fire. Isn't that exciting? And they go and they start showing people how to do the breath of fire. If you don't have the Kundalini, it's fine. It's fine. It'll work. But if you have the Kundalini, it is better for you to allow the Kundalini to give you breath of fire rather than to induce it yourself. Breath of fire is like, drinking gasoline and then swallowing a match. And if you think that sounds fun, if you think that, then go ahead and do the breath of fire and suffer. You see, here's the deal. Kundalini activated people and Kundalini awakened people have already reached what every other esoteric program is trying to get to. You're there. So we got, let's look at Kundalini Yoga is a great one for this, okay? Oh my gosh, they'll practice breath of fire till the cows come home, okay? And it's not going to activate people. They just think that it's going to activate people because, the people that wrote the KY journal or the KY sacred book or whatever it is they're following, they observed people having the Kundalini, doing the breath of fire as given for them to do from the Kundalini that they had. And they made the erroneous assumption that, oh gosh, in order for us to have Kundalini activated or awake within us, we have to do breath of fire because look at, he's doing it, he's got it. That's all yoga. All yoga is designed by watching people have Kundalini awakening. Okay? And it goes back thousands of years. But they made this assumption, and so this assumption has now become doctrine. Well, for Kundalini activated and awakened people, it is not a doctrine. You wait for the Kundalini to do this to you. Okay, you don't do this to the Kundalini. You've already reached where everybody doing Kundalini Yoga wants to get to. You've already reached where everybody doing Buddhist and Vipassana, you already reached where they're trying to get to. You already reached where the yogis are trying to get to, where the meditators are trying. You've already reached that. You've already reached where the whirling dervishes are trying to get to. You've already reached where Rumi reached. You already reached where Rumi's teacher has reached. You already reached where Yogananda is reaching. You're already there. It's like getting in a limousine and trying to ride a bicycle. Because you're not used to the limousine. You're just like, oh, no, I still have to ride the bicycle. It's a little cramped in here, but no, I'll ride that bicycle. Yes, I will do that because even though I'm already here, I have to make sure that I get there, that I'm already here because I really want to get there, but I'm already here. You see the sense? This is what I'm talking about. You don't need to do the breath of fire, and it is not indicated for Kundalini awakened or activated people. It's just not. It's indicated for those trying to get to the activation or to get to the awakening, but it is not for those that are already there. What was that? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Was that you?
Thank you, Chrism.
What was that noise? I mean, maybe I shouldn't ask. Never mind. I don't want to know. La 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 la. You could have gone off mic.
If only I was that delicate when I did that. But there you go.
Oh Lord.
Okay. See, I knew it.
Hang on.
Okay.
Wait. Atlanta Seeker is asking Atlanta Seeker says, then why did the K tell some people to do it? The K didn't. Their yoga instructor did. The ones who were observed by the people who developed Kundalini Yoga you were talking about. Kundalini isn't telling the people that it comes to gather people around them and say, okay, this is what you do. It's not how it worked. If that's what you're saying, okay. Breath of fire can give a Kundalini activated and awakened person extreme headaches, migraine-style headaches. You don't want to have that. It can give you extreme energetic shifts. You don't want to have that. But you said some people with K. No. I'm saying people with K do not. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, some people with the Kundalini, and the Kundalini will have them do the breath of fire. That's right. But it's the Kundalini that's controlling it. Mm. So would I call it a Kriya? Mary Jean asked me, so would you call it a Kriya? Yeah, that would be a breath of fire Kriya. I would definitely call it that. Very nice, Mary Jean. Nice connection. Exactly. That's perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
It is. Because you're not controlling it. When the breath of fire happens, it's a spontaneous thing. Spontaneous in the sense that the Kundalini is doing that. You're not sitting there consciously choosing to do it, I like that.
Exactly. It's very good, Mary Jane. Thank you. Yeah. So there you have it. And I know, breath of fire, everybody, they just want to do the breath of fire because it sounds so cool, so sexy. The breath of fire coming to a theater near you. Come on. Yeah. And the KY people get really upset with me when I say this because they think they're just doing it so right and it's just so perfect and, oh my gosh, we're on our way. And you know what? For the people that are unawakened, it is perfect. Unactivated, it is fine. It has the possibility of thrusting a person, storming the gates of heaven. It has the propensity for thrusting a person into the Kundalini, and of course, then there's the psych ward. Then there's possibles, or they get thrust into the Kundalini, and the Kundalini guides them into an area where they can have it and hold it and be with it and become that semi-divine person. Phil Karuba says, breath of fire is dangerous in my opinion. Yep. For those who are unawakened and not activated, it is fine. For those who are awakened and activated, and it comes because, geez, could you control that? My God, Santara.
I'm turning down the sound now. I apologize.
Turn down the mic. Maybe bring the iPad up to the table instead of down next to the chair. I don't know.
Oh my God. Okay, I put my phone away now. It's not going to happen again.
All right. For those who haven't activated or awakened within them, like Santara does, obviously, the breath of fire can come, but it will come spontaneously. As Mary Jean suggested, it will come as a Kriya. And you just let that Kriya occur. But you don't go to your neighbor and go, oh, wow, I had this really cool Kriya. Here, try this. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question, my dear.
Okay. Thank you. Can you ask Chrism, is there a difference between intuition and Kundalini communication?
If you don't have Kundalini, intuition would be your higher self talking with you, with your lower ego-infested self. If you do have the Kundalini will always be a part of the intuition, always. Always. And so this is where you need to really discern what is actual intuition from the ego and what is intuition from the higher self or the Kundalini. And there will be a very, very, very strong separation between the two. You will recognize it, typically. Typically, it's fairly easy to recognize because the ego, understanding that it's being supplanted by a higher, stronger force, will forcefully express itself in higher and not higher, but in stronger ways. So when it's being a petulant child, it's like the petulant child from hell. Okay? And so it's very easy to differentiate between the two. And I suggest you strongly do that. And you realize that. And you realize that, oh, I have Kundalini, therefore, the hand of God is within my spine, within my body, within my brain, within my blood. The hand of the divine is there. It's changing me. It's working with me. It's redesigning who I am. And I will not listen to the small child voice within me anymore. I will only listen to the intuitive guidance that is given to me through my Kundalini or through the teacher that it has given me to. Okay?
Okay.
Next question.
Thank you. I am feeling so happy. Oh, that's the spelling. Let me see. I am feeling so happy, so in love with everything. I am finding it hard to live my life like I used to. It sounds like a contradiction, but I am finding it hard to be with people who are always complaining and negative.
Well, see, welcome to the Kundalini world, whoever that is. Welcome to the Kundalini world, and welcome to the life of love, of blessed love, inside of a world of people who are going through refinement. You have reached that divine station in life. And yes, it can be difficult to be in love so much with everything and everyone, and yet having everyone, not everything, but everyone complain to you about, oh my gosh, my car is almost out of gas. Or, oh my gosh, I had to give all my money to this person because I wanted to buy an apartment. You know, I mean, it's just like people are going to complain. Now, the awakened don't necessarily complain that way anymore. The activated don't necessarily complain that way anymore. But everybody else will. Everybody else is going to whine and complain and you know, have some level of discourse that relieves them of the pressure of their refinement, which is what whining and complaining is basically. It's a pressure release. So that will happen and that will occur, and that is just that's why we have tolerance. That's why we have forgiveness. That's why we have compassion and considerate patience. These are the skill sets that allow us to live and flourish inside of a society that is 98% unawakened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Okay? Amelia, hello?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I didn't know you were finished. I was just thinking it's the human side of the person needing the discipline, isn't it? Like you were saying earlier, of the safeties and that when you're feeling that divine love, but you're also in the worst and all this negativity and stuff is going on.
Correct.
Okay.
Next question, my dear.
Okay, so I don't have another question, but this was a statement that was on the group about Kundalini yoga classes and energy. So I'd like to read that and ask you to comment. I go to Kundalini yoga classes and have been slacking off, but when I go to a good teacher, I don't feel energy from the root chakra as other people wrote about here. I feel a powerful energy coming into my crown and go throughout my body. I have called it God energy. What is this? Kundalini yoga tries to get the energy to start at root and coil up the spine. That is not, however, how I experience it.
Well, they could be having an entity come in there because obviously they don't have any kind of an idea of the channels on either side of the fontanelle, the transmigration or the transitional channels on either side of the fontanelle that allow an entity to hook in. So there's that. The other thing is they can just be having top-down top-down manifestation, and top-down starts at the crown and works its way down. And so, that's another option that people are given. It's not always a straight up and down type process. I mean, some people go from bottom to top, and some people go from top to bottom. Some people go from the first chakra to the fourth chakra, the fourth chakra to the first chakra. I mean, the activation sequences are many and varied for the people because their karma is very, very different from each other. Okay, so this person, she'll be having, or he'll be having, that type of an activation sequence. Let's just see where it goes. That's what I would counsel.
So you're saying that a person can have, say, an activation
top
in
down.
The
you know what a top down
chakra.
is, right?
Yeah, but then you're saying, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a top down. Are you saying that it could just be that area and then it could go to a different area? It's not necessarily.
No, I'm suggesting a top down, 7-1.
Oh, okay.
That's a possibility. I'm also saying that the entity incursion is a possibility. I'm also saying that it's not necessarily straight up or straight down. There are permutations that an activation sequence can give a person, and those permutations can be as individual as that person is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, next thing isn't a question either. It's my vision seems to be changing, but it's gradual and subtle. And it's really hard to know what has actually changed. There's this shimmering, sparkling quality to everything, and the forms and colours of things are obscured. Like an atmospheric haze that is a property of space itself. That was a comment on the group, so would you have something to say about that?
Read it again, please.
My vision seems to be changing, but it's gradual and subtle. And it's really hard to know what has actually changed. There's this shimmering, sparkling quality to everything. And the forms and colors of things.
It's okay, all right, you can stop.
Thanks.
That's the glistening, the beginning of the glistening. You'll see shimmers and sparkles over everything, every form of creation that comes to you. Try not to get too addicted to it. It will come and it will go, it will come and it will go. It's very, very beautiful. And you can kind of fall into the whole phenomena thing because we're so visually stimulated in our society. But it is a beautiful phenomena. It's called the glistening because everything is glistening, everything is sparkling, everything kind of has like a field of shimmering energy around it that you can see, or various permutations of those qualities depending upon the individual who is doing the viewing, and the level of expression that the Kundalini is allowing that to have. So yeah, very beautiful phenomena, very nice. Let's see.
Yeah, that's it actually, Chrism, from me anyway.
Well, Vincent
I don't know.
Chrism, in one of your articles, you suggested laughing at the entity. I noticed the energy movement from my throat chakra. When I laugh at this entity, send love to my throat chakra. Is there any other way to get rid of the entity? Yes, do the crucible of reversal would be the best way. Phil Karuba asks, top down, is it also called bhakti? Correct, no. Bhakti would be a heart activation. Bhakti is love. Let's see. Cole says, I can attest to the non-linearity of the process. I've got tactile sensations in the chakras. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, if there is a question that anybody who listening would like to call in and ask, the number is 347-934-0026. 347-934-0026. I would like to thank everybody who has come. I'm going to stay on for a little bit. I've got like over 10 minutes to go. But I just want to say thank you to Cole and Vincent and Phil and Mary Jean and Helly and guest 1301, Fashti, Atlantis Seeker, and of course my co-host, Her Holiness, Queen Santara. Yeah. So getting back to our topic, the amplitude, the increased amplitude of all the expressions of the four bodies, and sometimes actually I'm looking at the spiritual body as well. A person will be driven towards listening to really beautiful spiritual music, whether it's Sanskrit or ancient Christian or even modern day Christian music. A person will be really driven towards these sacred poems, these sacred forms of music. I still listen to them myself. They're very, very beautiful. There's an album out there by, it's called Dakshina, Dakshina.
Prema Deval.
Right, Prema Deval, Prema space and then Deval. That one has a lot of very, very, very Kundalini conducive Sanskrit chanting on it, and also, of course, the sisters of Shanti Shanti. They do direct chanting from the sacred texts of the Hindu culture or the Rishi culture, and so they're also quite effective with that. So yeah, the spiritual body can also be amplified that way as well. So look to this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at how your emotions may be amplified. Look at how your physical body may be pressurized, i.e. along the lines of having the pressure in the pelvic girdle. Look at how your love is being amplified, or your irritation is being amplified, or your fight or flee, fear-based expressions are being amplified. And trust the Kundalini in yourself. Trust the divine within your spine. Trust yourself to do the right thing with the right guidance. Listen to the right words. Respond to the right instruction. Trust yourself to do that thing. Now, for the last 10 minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Peru trip for the ayahuasca explorations of Kundalini. Now, the one thing I want you to understand within this understanding is that many of the shamans in Peru will suggest that you write down whether you've got some sort of psychological disorder like schizophrenia or any of the other psychological disorders that can often be construed as Kundalini or actually are Kundalini. I want you to know that the ayahuasca will affect the Kundalini people in a very, very strong ways. I am not, when we go down there, with the amount of people that have expressed an interest, I probably will not be doing the Kundalini myself, just so I can help our population, so to speak, the Kundalini people. That's my primary focus, is the safety and security of the Kundalini people there. You have to remember that, there are a lot of deep-seated issues within a person that has had Kundalini come to them in this life. A lot of karma has been burned. It could be a very, very difficult childhood experience, and those things will need to be faced as well. And so you want to understand that the amplification that we've been talking about here will also carry over into the ayahuasca experience. A lot of people that have said that have refused to divulge that they're bipolar or they have schizophrenia or something like that, they've wound up naked in the middle of a community or city square trying to convince people that God is coming or some sort of a thing. Okay. Now, I'm not suggesting that Kundalini people will have this type of a response, but what I am suggesting is you need to be very, very, very aware of the strong tactile phenomena that can occur with the Kundalini awakening. Now, I've taken Kundalini activated people down there before. I've taken people that I've given Shaktipat to numerous times, and they have gone down and they have had, very, very safe and actually quite beautiful experiences with the ayahuasca. Yes, of course, there are the people that are doing the bucket, shall we say, the the prayers to the bucket, which are quite necessary. You want to be able to lose, that negative energy. If you have a lot of negative energy in you, you're going to be purging that negative energy out of you. And it's the purging of that energy out of you that will give the next ceremony that you do a greater level of teaching, a greater level of joy, a greater level of love. But sometimes we have to wipe the mud off of our shoes before we can walk on the carpet. And so that's what that first ceremony will often do, is it will wipe the mud off your shoes so that you can walk on the divine carpet that the Kundalini is beginning to express through you. And so for the folks that are going down to Peru, you need to be very much aware of this. You are not a regular person going down there. You are a Kundalini awakened, activated person that is going down there. And that is a huge shift from a normal person going to Peru and experimenting with ayahuasca. You would be classified as having a mental disorder if you were to be diagnosed in the Western medical environment. You would be put on drugs right now, this very minute, if you said you had a Kundalini awakening. But as I have said, I myself have taken ayahuasca. Myself and Francine, we have prepared it, we have cooked it, we have boiled it down, we mixed it with chacruna, we did the whole thing. And she had definitive experience, and so did I. And I didn't wind up naked in the town square. But people that have serious mental instability that is not Kundalini, they have. But I can understand why they would go down there to try the ayahuasca, to try to get to the bottom of their mental instability. I get that, and I honor them for that attempt. But because of the number of people that are going, it's really I'm gonna ask that you show a great level of responsibility and kindness, love, and consideration to each other and to the group. And to myself, as a person who is trying to herd cats through the jungles of Peru. Think about that. Okay. And Lana Seagrass, did you have a life review when you took it to Chrism? Oh, no, I didn't. No. I went into orbit around the Earth about 300, 400 miles as I watched a giant anaconda encircle the Earth and swallow its own tail, the Ouroboros. And so that's what I got to see. And I got to see different perambulations of that. That was my teaching. That's what I received when I took the ayahuasca. And I felt the urge to vomit, but I didn't. I had the bowl. I was ready. Yuck. I was ready. But no, I didn't do that. I didn't have a life review. It's not a death. Not a death, really. But I guess for some it might be. It might be. So anyway, I am looking at the Kapatari, seriously, even though they can't take as many people as we have. I'm also looking at Ishmael, seriously, too. And I have found some information about him that people can read about. It's really important to know the shaman. Knowing the shaman is a big deal. You don't want just some pumpkin head coming out there going, "Yeah, I'm a shaman. Here, have some tea." You know? I don't suggest you do that. Okay? I better shut up before I get myself in trouble. Santara, do you have any last words, my dear?
No, Chrism, I do not. Really, I do. I'll say goodbye to everybody. Goodbye, Cole, Phil, MJ, Helly, Fastchi, Atlantic Seeker, and everybody. And we'll see you again next week. Same time.
Same
thank
station.
You, Chrism. Same
Well,
same back channel.
Thank you, Santara, and thank you, Joey and Eileen and Rosemary and Lana Seeker Fesci, Heli Halonen, Mary Jean, Phil Karuba, Cole Kundalini. Thank you all, and thank you for everybody who's already logged out. And we'll see you next time, same channel. Bye, everybody.